Welcome to the Living Quadratos podcast and welcome to our table of friendship. We have two desires for our time together today. First, we want this to be a free and safe space, a table of true friendship for all of us, regardless of our identity or category. And second, we're here to explore the everyday practices of Quadratos, our name for the universal pattern that lives in everything. And also to discover how for Christians Quadratos is at the very core of Jesus' teaching. This living practice of Quadratos helps us to uncover this inner freedom that in Western Christian tradition has until now been largely hidden or seemingly absent. This Quadratos supports a creative and loving life regardless of any tradition or no tradition. I'm Bronwyn Thorogood. I am a Quadratos practitioner and I'm joining you from Newcastle, Australia, where I live on a Wabikal land. And with me is my co-host and friend, Alexander John Shire, author and founder of Quadratos, joining us from the Camino and the ancient Celtic Northwest Spain. Welcome to our table of friendship.
Thanks, Bron. And also I want to say thank you to Jana, who is here with us today, and we'll say a little bit more invitation to her presence. But I also want to add my welcome to everyone to this table of friendship. Here the three of us are spanning the globe, from Australia to Spain to Texas in the States. And we hope that wherever you are, and in whatever way you are, and whoever you are, welcome. So Bron is going to lead us in just a brief meditation, centering so that we might truly be here with the fullness of our hearts and our minds. Bron, let me strike the gong.
So let's just begin by finding a comfortable position. Maybe your feet are on the floor, maybe you're lying down. Wherever you are, just feel where your body is in space. And then, if it's comfortable for you, allow your eyes to softly close. Or if you prefer, just let your gaze rest downward with a gentle focus. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. Inhaling slowly, deep into your belly, filling your chest and your heart space. If you notice your mind wandering to thoughts of your day or anything else, simply acknowledge these thoughts with kindness. Then gently guide your thoughts back to your breath. As you're ready, just bring some gentle movement into your fingers and into your toes. Take 1 more deep breath. And gently open your eyes as Alexander John strikes the gong 1 more time.
We're aware that you may be walking with us or driving with us or cooking with us, but In any way, just hope that this brief meditation might help you focus and be here now with us. So we have Jana Rentzel from Dallas, Texas, who also is one of our superb Quadratos practitioners and teachers and conveners. And Jana, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, I had the pleasure of just giving a bit of a background of where Jana has come from. Jana, I also want to say thank you so much for joining us, and I'm so glad that, yes, through Quadratus, we've been able to become friends, even though you live in a totally different continent to me. But Jana is a PhD spiritual psychologist and a certified spiritual director in private practice. And she attributes a significant part of her education and training to her experience as a hospice counsellor and a hospital chaplain and a grief support therapist. Jana's significant work in these areas of human grief and sorrow from an emotional and spiritual perspective has gifted her with a keen ability to guide people and help them navigate, survive, and ultimately thrive through life's darkest moments. And as Alexander John has already told us, along with all of this, Jana currently leads Quadratus 4 Gospel Journey classes and Heart and Mind circles. So welcome, Jana. It's so beautiful that you're here.
Thank you, Bron. I really appreciate that introduction. And I'm so happy to be here with you and Alexander John to share about how the 4 Gospel Journey of Transformation, what we call Quadratus, how it has significantly deepened and expanded both my personal and professional insight. The Quadratus understanding of the journey of transformation, this universal pattern of growth that underlies all in creation. This has provided me and those that I work with an amazing map, a map that not only allows me to navigate my own life with more peace and wisdom, but that serves as a really profound guide that I can share with others.
So, Jana, can you maybe share with us your story about how you actually got here? I know we've just had a little brief introduction, but I'm fascinated to sort of hear the deeper story of Jana Rentzel.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I'd love to
Jana,
share.
hold on. I just want to remind everyone that right down below is a link where you can download what we call the map. So please, folks, if you haven't had a chance to do that, it's right there for a click on. Okay, Jana, your story.
Yes, that invaluable map. Thank you. Well, just a peek into where I've come from, where I've been, where I am now. I've been a seeker of deep spiritual truth really all my life. My greatest desire has been to experience an ever deepening intimacy with God and to learn how to live my life more fully from my spiritual core. So, growing up and increasingly as a young adult, I felt that God, the God of my traditional Christian upbringing, didn't really speak to the presence or truth that I intuited and experienced within. So I sought a way that would allow me to explore this deeper understanding and to experience God through Christ. I started studying ancient spiritual wisdom traditions through a theosophical lens. I explored modern approaches to understanding the law and order of our lives and our universe through quantum physics. I practiced Buddhist meditation so that I could more directly experience the presence of Christ within. And it wasn't until about 25 years ago that I discovered that this contemplative, meditative approach to knowing Christ, it exists within my own Christian tradition. So it really felt like a homecoming for me. I had searched far and wide, and it felt like I was coming home to what I was really searching for in the Christian tradition. And so I began to read everything I could put my hands on by Thomas Merton, Thomas Keating, Richard Rohr, Cynthia Bourgeois, and others who were reviving this ancient Christian contemplative tradition. And so it was at this time that all of my previous studies and experiences, they just began to come together into a perfect fit for me. I now had a way to speak about my ineffable experience of the divine in Christian terms. There was a way, I had a way now of knowing Christ in my heart of hearts that went way beyond my previous intellectual knowledge about the historical life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. I was able to break through the limits of Christian doctrine and to elucidate a much deeper, broader understanding of what Jesus was here to teach us about life, death, and resurrection. So through online classes, I began to teach others about this deeper, broader understanding of Jesus's profound teachings and how Jesus continues to guide us today via the eternal, omnipresent Christ, what many Christians refer to as the Holy Spirit. And then I learned about Quadratos. I found the map that Alexander John Shaya had discovered, the map that so clearly shows us how to live this deeper wisdom through the Gospels, how this ancient four-path journey of growth and transformation lies at the very heart of the four Christian Gospels. And I was captivated by how the four Gospels bring us back to the original understanding of Jesus the Christ, not just as an historical figure, but as a here and now, in this moment, very present moment experience. And so I feel deeply blessed to be able to teach this life-changing four gospel journey of Quadratos through online classes and heart and mind circles.
Yeah.
Jana, one of the things that I so value is your journey. And one of my teachers at Notre Dame, a theologian by the name of John Donne, not the great John Donne of history, but this incredible person kept stressing to us that as a Christian and perhaps as a Catholic, that we need to cross over. What he talked about was crossing over to other traditions, crossing over to Buddhism, crossing over to Judaism, crossing over to shamanism, crossing over to indigenous traditions, and learning about them, and then coming home with a wider heart and greater sight.
Yes.
And that seems to be so much your story. And I know I've listened to your teaching, and I know the depth and the breadth of it, and am so grateful that you have come to this home to offer so much that you've learned.
Thank you. It felt like a very circuitous path at many times, searching here, searching there. But I did come back to my own native Christian tradition in truly a whole new way. And your work, Quadratos, has brought all of this, as I said. It's just allowed everything to weave together into the most beautiful pattern, into the most beautiful tapestry that Now I come to my faith truly from my heart. It's not just a conceptual knowledge of what the Bible says or what we think Jesus said. It's from a real lived experience. So thank you for recognizing that.
Oh, thank you. Really, truly lovely. And just at this moment, we're going to talk more, but I just want to remind people that right below there are a series of links, and one of those links is to the learning community of Quadratus. And if you would like to perhaps know more about any of our conveners, facilitators, and about Jana, just click on that link.
Yeah, I think I can really identify with that, the idea of coming from, you know, coming back to our Christian tradition with a wider understanding and a more accepting view of all. It's just, that just resonates so well with me, and it's something that's drawn me into the teachings of Quadratus and this universal pattern as well. So I loved how you just explained that, Jana, beautifully.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
What I
And
would love.
and let me, one of the things that's so important to me is that if something is true, it must be true in 1,000 ways. And the beauty and the power of Quadratus is it's at the very heart of the Christian tradition, but it's also at the heart of Judaism, and it's at the heart of Buddhism, and it's in the heart of many indigenous traditions. For me, there's something additional that the Christos brings me, but Quadratus is a great truth, and I
Yes.
really invite you to come with us and explore it. All right, I'm sorry, Braun, I've stepped all over you, but go for it.
Oh, but you're my friend, and I can manage it.
Love it.
So what I'd really be interested to know is, what is living Quadratus in your life doing for you today?
Great question. You know, Quadratus really opens space, as we've just been talking here. It opens space for a far more living, lived, evolving relationship with the divine. So it allows me to find deep meaning in everything I'm doing and experiencing in my life. I can see myself, I can see others, I can see what's going on in the world in a much greater context, from a bigger picture perspective in which things begin to make much more sense. So, for example, understanding how the four paths of transformation work together, how this universal pattern that underlies everything, how it all unfolds. Being able to understand this gives me such a broader perspective, so that when I'm in challenging, difficult situations in my life, I don't have to stay stuck in my human feelings of despair or disturbance. I actually have a choice to change my perspective to the bigger picture, to
Hmm.
the larger context of what's going on. In other words, I can remind myself, I can take myself from my small human mind to that mind of Christ. A way of putting this in terms of the four gospel journey is that the first and second paths always lead to the third and fourth paths, where all the things that happen along the first two paths, all the difficulties, all the challenges, they now begin to make sense as that which ultimately leads to growth and transformation.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the difficulties of the first two paths take on a whole new meaning. And this perspective has been invaluable in my life. It has brought me the ability to remain anchored in the deep peace and love that is always alive within our heart of hearts, especially during times of disturbance and challenge. So I'm
So,
experiencing.
again,
Yes.
Jana, people can click on the link and download the map. But
Yeah.
in your words, how would you describe the first path and the second path?
Oh, great. The first path is when, in any way, whether it's a small change during the course of a day, during something that you thought you'd been planning on and it gets changed, or something huge in your life. It's like having the rug ripped out from under you all of a sudden, usually. A big change is upon you. And a lot of times this comes with um, uh, such a disturbance, such a disappointment, if not total despair and grief. Um, so it's very upending. And we all experience this in small ways and in big ways throughout our lives. The second path is when we sit up from the ashes of what we thought was supposed to happen and then didn't, or what we thought life was supposed to be and then changed courses. We're sitting there, we're looking around, we're in a wilderness of our we've lost what we thought we had, we've lost the life or the plans we thought we had, and now we're in sort of a wilderness. We're feeling lost. A lot of times we're feeling very alone. Nobody seems to understand what has happened to us or the depths of what has happened to us. So there's a wilderness that is calling us to have faith in something deeper than what has changed on the relative surface. So the second path is that stormy sea that Mark writes about in his gospel, where we have no idea where we are. We're being buffeted about by life in ways that are very unnerving to us. We can't see the other shore. We're having to rely on something deeper in us, and that's where we develop our faith. I believe that's when we develop our true faith, the faith that can't be touched by anything happening in this world.
Yeah, it's truly where we learn to trust. Although
Yes.
that can be a bumpy lesson,
Yes, it can.
but in the depths, when we come to know we're not alone,
Mm.
and eventually we come to know there is a reason,
Yes.
uh, and there is a greater uh, understanding anyway.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Things begin to start making sense. It doesn't mean that we want to go through that stormy sea again or through that wilderness again, but we do begin seeing the spark of, or the distant light of something that might make all of this make sense.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Hmm.
Thank you, Jana.
So,
So,
how would
oh,
you, what words would you put on the third and the fourth paths?
Mhm. Third path is where we have
Again,
this.
again, folks, click on that link and get the map if you'd like.
Yes, it's a beautiful way to describe this, I think, very clearly and succinctly. But in my own words, the third path is where things begin making sense at a deeper level. I've worked with many people at the end of their lives, and sometimes that means moments, days, weeks, months. Um, but in any case, there comes a time when people begin to see how everything in their life made sense. The heartbreak, the tragedy, the joys, the happiness, the mundaneness,
Mhm.
everything begins to make sense. I also did a study of a year-long research study of near-death experiences. And I was fascinated by not only how unique each experience was, but the commonalities. And one of the commonalities in people's experiences that struck me the most, and I think has stayed with me the most, is that they said from their new experience, their new level of awareness, having escaped the body, at least for a time. These were people that eventually they were declared biomedically dead, and then came back into their body. So they had some time, they slipped the surly bonds of the human experience, and we're in a whole new dimension of awareness. And from that level of awareness, they were able to see that everything in life makes sense. Everything, all the things that we despair about, that we worry about, that we think are wrong, all of those things that don't make sense from our very limited human perspective. Everything made sense. Even those who had experienced what might be considered one of the ultimate tragedies of losing a child, they saw how that fit into the bigger picture, and how they really hadn't lost that child, but how it made sense. So I think that's what the third path does for us, is we begin to see in a whole new way, from a much deeper perspective, that which had contained us before or constrained us has begun to fall away, or has fallen away. We felt stripped bare in many ways in the second path. The third path is where we realize, hey, that process is what led me to being able to become who I'm truly meant to be, to realize my full potential in this world. So that's the garden for me. That's when the seed has broken through its outer shell, its outer protection, or sense that it needs protection. It's broken through all of that. And this very nascent seedling begins to emerge through the dark earth and into the light of day. And whether its true purpose is to be a dandelion or a huge oak tree, it realizes it's becoming who it's truly meant to be. So that's what the third path is for me.
And just briefly, the fourth path?
The fourth path is when we realize how incredible these gifts are for ourselves, how much it is meant for me. Again, from a human perspective, we don't want to go through these tragedies, these harrowing experiences again. But having gone through them, we realize that we could never be the human being we are now had we not gone through those. So the joy of that is so great, and so full, that we want to share it with others, that we're compelled to share it with others. We want to let other people know that they too can begin to see their hardships, their losses, their tragedies and difficult times, from this viewpoint that it's all part of the universal pattern, that law and order that everything is designed within in this universe, and that it will lead to something rare and beautiful and true. Wow. And the fourth path is wanting to share that with others.
Wow, thank you. And again, folks, click on that link below and get your copy of the map. Braun, I know you've got some other questions for us.
Yeah, I'm just really interested with all of the all that you've shared about the paths and the map, and from an education perspective, what I hear as you're describing this so articulately is it's showing the why of life,
Mm.
It's that metacognitive understanding of everything's for a purpose.
Mhm.
And yeah, I really appreciate the way that you have been able to bring to life the four paths so articulately today, Jana. So thank you. So, in amongst all of that and with all the things that you're doing, like what is your heart yearning for in your
Oh,
life right now?
beautiful question. Along the lines of what we were just talking about, because of how much Quadratus has meant to me, how much understanding this deeper universal pattern has been for me. I yearn for more people to discover what Quadratus is all about.
Mm.
I yearn for people to know what Jesus was really teaching. He was teaching us this. He was not teaching us to worship him or to start a religion around him. He was teaching us how to have the same relationship with life and with the divine that he did.
Mm.
And I've learned so much along the way. And with all that Quadratus is teaching me, I continue to learn more every day. Every day is a huge teaching opportunity for me. And so I long to share this way of living Quadratus with others.
Love
Well,
that.
and I know that you are going to start a new offering for us, something called, I think, an extended book study.
Absolutely.
Would you describe this? And it's going to start fairly soon,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
tell us about this.
All right, happy to. I'm very excited about it. Starting Tuesday, February 24th, I'll be leading a weekly four gospel journey extended book study. The course is designed especially for those who have already done the 11-week four gospel journey or a heart and mind circle, although it's totally open to anyone who wants to learn and experience this profound process of life-changing transformation.
Mm.
So it's based on Alexander John's book, Heart and Mind. And the goal of this class, to put it in a few words, is to increase participants' awareness of how these four gospel paths unfold in their life, both in the past and currently. And it's a very reflective approach to a book study, which will offer participants the opportunity for pretty profound personal healing and transformation. So, to learn more about it and to register, you can click on, there should be a link that you can click on below or wherever you're watching this video. You can also just go to the website quadratus.org, scroll down to the box called Explore Our Courses,
Mm.
then click on the Learn More button, and that will take you to all of the courses and opportunities, learning opportunities that we currently have. You'll see my course entitled The Four Gospel Journey Extended Book Study. So I hope,
And Jana, let me, this is online, right?
yes, it's an online weekly class.
Okay.
Yes.
And what time is it? Central Time USA?
In Central Time, it will be from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But we have a time converter for anybody who wants to click on and find out what that time is in wherever they are on in the world.
On the planet, yes.
And also,
Ab-
will this be recorded? Is it
Yeah, it will. It will be recorded. Each gathering will be recorded, posted on the learning course page, which you'll have access to. And you'll be able to review it if you like, or if you can't make some of the weekly classes, you'll be able to watch it and stay up with us. Yes.
And is there a limited enrollment?
You know, I don't like to put limitations on things, as you probably know. I have a belief that whoever's supposed to be there is who God will put there. And I don't feel the need to limit it now. I probably do have my limits at some point, but at this point, I'm really not putting a limit on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
think
people
shows
could
up,
join a large gathering that could span the globe.
that's absolutely right. And to be among a community of like-minded, like-hearted people who are seeking in their own way, each person in their own way, are seeking this depth of wisdom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, you'll see a link to the learning groups, or you can also access registration and information about Jana's course from the homepage of the Quadratos website.
Yeah.
Is there a way that any last summary words that you'd like to leave us with?
Oh boy, closing words. I guess I would say that what strikes me the most deeply about what I am learning from Quadratus and what I'm teaching is that challenging times from a human perspective will always be challenging. There'll always be heartbreaks in our lives. Quadratus allows us to put those times of heartbreak, of loss, of pain, even of anger, to put those very understandable, even appropriate human emotions in a greater context. We don't have to remain caught up in only the human emotions there. By being able to take open, expand our hearts and our minds to a greater reality, it's like we can relate and interact with that human heartbreak in a whole new way, in a whole different way. We're not caught up in it so that we're stuck there. Even when we can't see the larger perspective, when we're smack dab in the middle of hard times, in the middle of the stormy sea, and can't begin to see the shore, we can learn how to know, to trust, really know in our heart of hearts, based on the universal pattern that underlies the gospel, underlies all of life, based on our experience in the past. We begin to know that we will emerge from the wilderness. We will emerge from that heartbreak, from that loss, and find ourselves stepping into the light of a new day, of a new reality. You know, we learn to know this, and so it puts our human despair in a whole new, bigger context. And I'm picking up your book right now, Alexander John, because I think, and here it is for those of you that aren't familiar with it. I think it would be a great way to wrap up what I have to share by reading an excerpt, a couple of paragraphs, a couple of short paragraphs, if I might.
And I just want to remind people again that there's a link down below to our online store where they can go through that to order their copy of the book, either print or Kindle.
Yes, it'd be the best thing you could do for yourself. Get the book. But let me read just this closing passage to chapter 5, talking about the end of the second path. Alexander John writes, "Indeed, the Christ promises us that the far shore will grow closer and closer. Awareness of the grace that guides us will begin to dawn, surely and certainly. The storms will quiet and land will appear. Our boat will slide smoothly onto the sand of a golden beach, and right over a rise, just behind the seagrass, the most beautiful and fragrant garden we can possibly imagine awaits. In the shade of a bending tree, amongst the blossoms, we will find a bench and we will see our name engraved upon it. Alexander John closes by saying, hold to faith. Let your courage be blessed. You will find rest. So beautiful.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Braun, any last comments that you'd like to make from the far shores of Australia?
I guess it's something that I would ask anyone who's listening today, like what has this done for your heart today, just to hear Jana's story? And for me, it's just the hope that you speak about. It's the knowledge that we are forever kind of held, whether it's in a time of change, in a time of difficulty, in a time of joy, and while we're walking that path of wanting to share, like we're forever held. And what draws me mostly in the Quadratos work is, regardless of how I'm feeling, there's a truth. And there's a truth that I am beloved. And I love that. So that's I have heard that in what you've said today, Jana. And and as Alexander John said earlier, when something's true, like there's a deep truth and it resonates differently in all of us. Yes. So that's probably what I'm taking from this today. So thank you.
Amen.
And I want to say thank you to everyone who's listening and watching, and thank you for those who are leaving comments. Please leave your questions. Thank you to the question that was sent to us this week asking about quote unquote Lent. And we're going to talk about this in our upcoming podcast. But I just want to give a little teaser, if you will. We walked into the middle of the movie and believed that we saw the beginning. The ancient Lent did not start with the Rite of Ashes. That's not the first ritual of Lent. That comes 400 to 500 years later. 400 to 500 years later than what was the original opening of Lent? It was something called the rite of election. And election doesn't mean people went to the ballot box and put in their votes. The opening ritual of Lent was, you are God's beloved. You were elected by God in the womb. You were elected by God even before you were in the womb. And so this first ritual of the ancient Lent, and all the research on this was done 60 years ago, and I can't figure out why our liturgical commissions have not gotten the message yet. The opening ritual of Lent is triumphant because Lent is not, I am a sinner far away from God. Lent is, I have heard the deep voice of love that calls me to be more love. I know before I was even conceived that the Holy One already knew my name and knew me as beloved. So I want you to follow along with us as we open up not the Lent that we think we know because we walked in the middle of the movie, but how this all got started. And when you understand how it all got started, everything changes. All right.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Jana.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Braun. Thank you, everyone. Keep coming back.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been beautiful to have you, Jana. And yeah, I'll start my day. Alexander John will finish his and in the middle. Go and have lunch.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. It's a pleasure.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.